Hello and welcome back to Cruising Off Duty and to the 2019 Annapolis Sailboat Show. Every year, Janice and I come down here to start looking at catamarans for the future. We want to find that perfect boat that we can sail around the world on. Now this year we decided to do something a little different because we're not just going to walk around and film it ourselves, we're only going to do an episode if we get a guided tour so we can get all the facts. If you've been watching the previous episodes, you know we found some boats we really liked at this show, like the St. Francis 50 and the Majestic 530. But they were a little out of our price range. And then in the last episode, we showed you the Maverick 440, and it was finally a boat that we really liked, could see ourselves living on, and probably could actually afford. So if you haven't seen that episode, definitely go back and check that out. But we aren't done with episodes doing guided tours, and we saw this beautiful boat on the dock called the HH55. Had all those sleek lines of a performance cat, but when you got inside, it showed that it had a lot of comfort and a lot of storage, like a cruising cat. It might be that perfect meld between performance and comfort, and that's rare to find in a catamaran. Now granted, this boat is way above what we can afford, but if money was no object, this might be our future boat. But if you're a viewer with deep pockets, this might be the perfect boat for you, so stay tuned.
We anchor and hoist the sail.
Okay, this is Scott from HH. Why don't you explain what your role is with the company and what this boat, what beautiful boat's all about?
Sure, I'm Scott Rockneck and I'm an agent for HH Catamarans. There's just a few agents in the world that sell them. It's a little bit different. We don't have a dealer network. We represent the company as an agent. And we're standing on an HH55. It's a little different from some of the other boats you might see at the boat shows. It's all carbon fiber, so that makes it extremely light. It also makes it very stiff. And it also adds to the price because it's a very hard material to work with. So there's more labor hours in carbon fiber and the materials are more. But the benefits are speed, performance, and it's, again, a very light boat. Everything you see on the boat is carbon fiber. So if it's white, it's carbon fiber. The spars are carbon fiber, the decks, the hatches, the bulkheads, everything is carbon fiber on this boat. So on a lot of performance boats, you'll see that the sail plan is a little bit more aggressive, say, than a cruising cat. And if we look forward here, this boat currently has a setup for a self-tacking jib. It has an overlapping jib, or called a solent. And there's two places up forward on the longeron that have a place for like a code zero or a reacher and or a spinnaker. And we also can put a storm sail. And the way this works, it's very similar to what you might be used to on a beach cat, in that these come up and they lock at the top and pull down on the sail to on a Cunningham to tighten them to get your luff rigid, so you don't pull up on the sail. Once it's up, you pull down. So on a performance cat, we have up to 4 or 5 forward sails, and as we walk aft, this is the winch that pulls down the forward sails, and they go on a track and they have little stops. And then here we have a non-rotating carbon fiber mast, and right forward of it is a track for the self-tacker. These hatches are storage and anchor locker, and over here on the starboard side is the generator compartment, and we put in Fisher Pandas or Northern Lights generators depending how big you want them. Okay. The other hatches you see are all cabin hatches, and they are outboard of the house going all the way aft, so when you open them up, air comes into the cabin so you don't have to run your air conditioning as much. Right. Further forward are some very, very large lockers, and just to give you an idea, we have folks that actually put a motorcycle in one of these.
Oh, man. Big size of that.
Right. So there's 2 of these. The other side we have filled with sails and stuff for the boat show, but
That's
we have
amazing.
folks that carry full-size bicycles, again, fenders, surfboards, kiteboards.
I've never seen anything that big before.
Right. So in a 55, you start to be able to carry the weight for things and toys like that.
Right.
Just a couple other quick things that are up here. This net, this is all Dyneema. So this is all high-tech line. It's very, very rigid compared to others. So it's everything on the boat that is a line essentially is either Spectre or Dyneema. This particular boat has anchor forward. You can also get anchor at the aft end of the longeron.
Okay. So that's an option. You choose what you want?
Well,
Or do you have both set up?
The advantage of having the anchor here is it allows your pivot point to be further forward. So it's easier for 2 people to be able to manage the anchor. If it's further aft, you just have to pay attention more because you have the potential of the line going aft too quicker. So if it's just 2 of you, I would suggest having your anchor up forward.
Okay.
The boat has a handrail built into the visor here on the Salon Roof. We have plenty of glass. all the way around, but it's fairly short in height, so it's a good offshore setup, very rugged and rigid. All the lines are led aft, and what's different with the performance catamaran is there's a couple things. These small lines that are color-coded with the other lines that are below it are releases for the hooks that are holding either your reef or your main up.
Okay.
These are barber haulers, just like you'd see on any other performance boat. We also use these for the sheets for a storm jib. The boom is called Park Avenue boom, and we also do one called a haystack boom, and we can also do roller furling. Again, that's carbon fiber, but the big thing about that boom is that you can get to the sail. And so I'm 6'2", but I could be 5'7" and still reach this sail. And I can go all the way aft with this sail and not fall off the edge. It'd still be able to get to the zipper.
That's great.
So that's kind of cool. These solar panels that I'm walking on, they're all have built-in rubberized non-skid.
Okay.
And currently on this Salon Roof, we have 1.5 kilowatts of solar, and on the 55 you can get 2 kilowatts, and on the 50 you can get 1.5. The 55 has 2 water tanks, 2 fuel tanks, 2 holding tanks, 2 gray water tanks, and on the 50 you have 1 water tank, a big one in the middle.
So what's the capacity on this one?
I'm gonna have to look that up.
Okay.
It's, I think it's 400 liters, but I want to double check that.
Okay.
We'll get the spec book out. This we'll go over this.
Yeah.
This is a carbon fiber daggerboard. So it's not fiberglass daggerboard, it's carbon fiber. It's nearly solid. It has a little bit of closed cell foam in parts of it. But the thing is with this is we test this in a jig up to 40,000 pounds. So this daggerboard is rated for the speed that this boat is capable of doing. So we don't have a warranty that says, okay, you can only go X amount of yachts and then forget it. It's warranted for the speed that the boat is capable of. And this particular boat's done 24 knots. There's one in the harbor that's apparently done 27, but I've seen it do 24. It does sail the wind speed depending on what point of wind you're on. I know a lot of people say that this boat does do that, and it also does it in lower winds too, with the self-tacking or the Solent.
So all this carbon fiber obviously is all about removing weight, excess weight. What does this boat weigh?
It's 33,000 pounds dry,
right?
And we have quite a bit of carrying capacity up to 42,000 pounds.
That's great. Okay.
Yeah, it actually again can carry the bicycles and the fuel and water.
Yeah. If you start loading it up with stuff, it's going to be more. But yeah, dry weight was 33,000.
Right, and every single and still within design parameters, you can put the average American 2 of them in each cabin. You know that we figured out the weights for all that. Anyway, so carbon fiber adds stiffness too. So this boat over time is not going to have the hulls do this and flex. It's carbon keeps your shape longer.
That's great. Okay.
These are a little bit different for some of the other cats. They do not have turnbuckles. They are preset to a length, and the way that you tune the boat is you raise the mast up with a hydraulic winch. So these are preset, and you just add shims to the bottom of the mast, and that's how you tune this rig.
Okay.
So that's a little different. So if you ever had an issue with one of these, they have a barcode on them, and you just order another one, and it's exact
dimensions.
And this is all out of it's a combination of Kevlar and carbon fiber.
That's great.
The helms on this boat, there's 2 ways to get a 55. You could have a forward helm where you'd have the well up forward that you're used to seeing, perhaps with a wheel just outside the window and one inside. But this boat is twin aft helms, and the way we set this up, we want to have protection. There's polycarbonate panels that go in here that totally enclose you. We can also enclose it with a screen. But the concept here is in offshore conditions, it's raining or you have a lot of onboard water, you're totally protected here. But I can see my bow, I can see both of my transoms, I have good visibility. But I also have straight line leads to all my rigging here, right. So I'm not going around a lot of bends. It's a fairly low friction setup. Everything is duplicated for the most part, not everything, but your staysail is on both sides. Your reacher comes up from aft up to this winch, so that's both sides. You have engine controls both sides, same B&G, autopilot controls, tachometers, all that's on the same side. The other thing that we do is we have foot controls for the electric winches, so your hands are free. Right. Then we also have line drivers for the dagger boards that allow me to put up both of my dagger boards are down with a push button, and I can adjust my traveler with a push button. And on this boat, you're going to see a lot of winch kill buttons.
Okay.
They're everywhere. And the concept of that is if something were happening somewhere on the boat with a winch that someone's having an issue with, you hit the winch kill button and all the winches stop. Because you don't have time to say, oh, it's the port winch.
Yeah.
I'm gonna...
Which one am I shutting
Yeah.
off?
What? How many fingers did you lose? So all of them.
Yeah.
And then you have to reset it.
Yeah.
So that's all right here. You sail the boat all here. You have a starboard bow thruster. We have chain counters and automatic windlass and so forth. There are two ways to get up to these. We can go down the aft ladder or we can walk down this way. Another thing that can happen is we can close all this here so rain doesn't come down. We have covers for this. Your iPad can go up there, your phone can go up there. There's a couple plugs. And so it's a good setup.
It is.
Down in the cockpit, we have, again, a line driver for the traveler, but we can do a manual override, obviously, with this. But this is used for the reacher or the spinnaker.
Okay.
And you can do it right here. You can do it electric, or you can move this. The line lead to the winch up here is good if you're sailing the boat short-handed. So you can bring it up to here if you wish,
right,
and just use the other winch as a turning block. The other line that's here, we have one line davit lines right there. So we make a carbon fiber dinghy for this boat, but you can get an aluminum rib or one of those new New Zealand fiberglass or carbon fiber ribs. But we have it set up so you just can pull it up with the winch. So your dinghy is easy to bring up.
Right.
On the 55, you have a nacelle here, and that allows you to have a grill, and a lot of people also have a barbecue grill. This is propane,
Okay.
and it has its own propane system down below. And it's just great if you have that cutting board here and you have that mahi-mahi and you don't want to bring it inside, you want to cook it immediately.
Right.
And then over here, of course, is the accompanying sink
that's
that would go
nice.
with that. And it's a square sink that actually can
size.
wash things. Yeah, you can put a pot in there and clean it.
Yeah, it's not like the usual little bar sinks that are tiny.
Right, you'll see that the inside we have big sinks. So that's the same thing over here, just duplicated. Some of the boats, these tables retract. This one doesn't, but you can retract it, make it a day bed. There's a day bed on this side, and underneath is propane, life raft, and storage. And this could also be a table too. The boats are custom, so you build them the way you want. So what makes this boat a little bit unique is it has all sliding glass, so it opens up the salon and the cockpit as one giant space. So you have two tables that people could be sitting at together if you have a lot of guests on board, and it's all one open area. And you can close these in any combination that you want, and they're very high quality, very heavy duty, and they all lock. And they have a safety glass that's very strong. As we look at the interior, this is I should mention this is a Gino Morelli Melvin designed boat. He's very well known in the industry. He's one of the fastest designers out there. Or boats, he makes them one of the fastest designs. But this interior, they've drawn this interior in a lot of different ways, but it's really up to the customer how they want to do this. So it's an open palette in the 55 for people to do what they need to do. And one of the things that you're going to see that's different with this boat is it's all solid wood trim. There are no right angles. Pretty much it's all radius corners.
Very nice.
And this is all real wood veneer on carbon fiber foam and foam panels. So it's very lightweight, but it looks solid. It sounds solid because it's carbon fiber. There's nothing chintzy on it. There's nothing sharp edged. And this is sort of a lighter colored American walnut that's in this boat.
Right.
But you can get teak, you can get oak. It's up to you. You get cherry. And when we eventually make our way downstairs, we're going to find a darker walnut. That's what the owner wanted. So
you can have multiple for different areas of the boat. You have different shades.
It's up to you. You can make it look like an alphabet soup if you wanted, but I think we might talk you out of that. The galley has the big sink, but you can get one sink if you wish. It has a smaller sink. There's trash here, and it opens on the side to get the trash out. We can also do recyclables. This has a filter. There's a lot of space. This is an earlier hull. It's number 2, but we've added microwaves and storage up here with the ventilation for the stove.
Okay.
And as we look at the stove, it's a Force 10, and a lot of your viewers are going to be used to this particular stove. It goes in to get out of the way, and it has a broiler. But one thing your viewers might want to consider on any of the cats that they're looking at is if you want to get a 3-burner or 4-burner. The advantage of a 3-burner, and it is not necessarily more is better, is that you can put a bigger pot in the middle versus having a bunch of smaller pots with the 4 burners.
I like that idea.
So that's what we did on this boat. This particular boat has a dishwasher, a double drawer dishwasher, and it has two sets of freezer refrigerator combos. And if you didn't want this, and you took another one of these and put it here, where the other set is, which is behind the camera at the moment, would be a cabinet or more drawers.
Okay.
And what we're doing with this L shape, which is kind of clever, and Gino figured this out earlier on some of his other boats, is that this is a big locker that's accessed from the forward cabin on the other side. And this is just storage for most people put in dishes and cups and things like that. The vents are air conditioning. There are two heads for air conditioning in here. Lots of 110. This is an American spec boat, but we can do European, or we can do a European, universal boat with an isolation transformer, so you can have any kind of electricity you want. All ocean air blinds throughout the whole boat. We have screens for everything that opens. This is a little different from some of the cats that you've been on. A lot of cats you'll see a U-shape up forward. We have our seating aft, which we saw earlier, but this is a salon that can, not this boat, but others can convert to a day bed.
Right.
So it's great for offshore trips. The navigation station is set up so I can have a laptop right here. We have a plug behind me, and then we have a 19-inch B&G, I think it's 19, and we have a control system here that allows us to look at every single thing on the boat, turn them all off from here, including lights. So this is a C-zone system, and has a manual override. And like, for example, if I want to turn on my tricolor, I just hit that and hit on.
Yeah, it's all digital. It's great.
Yeah, every single thing on the boat can be turned on and off. Not the engines themselves, but the engine controls. The B&G also repeats all this at anywhere there's one of these B&G units, and it can also repeat to your iPad. And this is a B&G system that has load sensors, because on a catamaran, as you don't know when you're overloading it like you do with a monohull. It doesn't tell you.
It doesn't heal.
Right. So that tells you what the load sensors are.
That's great.
Because this boat is capable of really honking along, and you want to watch that.
Yeah, you don't want to push it too far.
And the other rest are VHFs and so forth, and we have an autopilot. We can put the throttle here, so you can have this as an interior navigation with the aft wheels. Looking down below, this is a 4-cabin model. So it's used to what you're seeing in a charter cat, perhaps, but it's a little different from a charter cat. First of all, none of these are in charter at the moment, but the berth here on the 55 and the 50 is roughly a queen. It's a little wider than a queen, but has full headroom over my head. Again, I'm 6'2", I have a lot of space.
Yeah, it's very nice.
But one of the big things here, and you probably know, your folks probably know, when they go on a charter cat down to BVI's or something, everyone's fighting for the forward cabin because that's where the hatch is. Yeah. Well, this hatch looks right down the deck, so you're going to be fighting for this cabin on this boat.
Great airflow.
Yeah. And you have side ports. People really enjoy the large.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
I walked down yesterday just to get a quick look at the boat, and that was what really caught me, is that you don't feel claustrophobic in here. You got the nice open views at the back of the boat. That's amazing. I've never seen that in another boat yet.
Yeah, it's really neat when you're at anchor and you're at your first exotic locale, and you have that picture view out the F end. And and I would say that I would bet you 3/4 of the women that we have on board have a little bit of feeling of claustrophobia, and we've had no issues with this cabin.
No, you feel there's lots of natural light in here.
Yeah. Everything is finished by paint on this. There's no gel coat.
Okay.
This is all Alex seal, and this happens to be Matterhorn white in color, so it has a little bit of a tinge of gray to it, but we can have other colors as well. And you have smart chargers for your iPad in here, the 2.1 amps, and you also have the phone chargers. And again, this is a GFCI circuit, and each cabin has its own air conditioner.
Okay, great.
Good storage and all that sort of thing that you would expect. This is what's a little bit different from a charter cat. It's a decent sized head, and the reason why it's a decent sized head is we have a Jack and Jill shower. Okay. So the shower is shared between the two heads. It allows us to have a larger head.
Right. Yeah, I noticed that when I came yesterday. I looked at it.
And the owner's
smart, because you don't really need 4 showers in a boat.
Right. The owner's cabin version, of course, has 1 shower, and that's all the way forward.
Yeah.
This all wood, by the way, is a darker walnut, and this is not Formica; it's wood. As we walk forward, I just want to show you The fuel tanks are centered on this. They're not underneath the aft, underneath the beds. They're centered in the boat, and they're underneath the platform here.
Okay.
But there are twin Raycor 500 FGs in here, and this is set up as a fuel polishing system. So it's possible for you to polish each tank, but it's also possible for you to take the polished fuel and send it to the other side of the boat.
Okay, transfer it across.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah. And most of the stuff on the boat is 24 volt. There's some 12 that's the only way it comes, but it is a 24 volt system.
Right.
And speaking of that, it's all lithium master volt batteries.
Okay.
And they're 180 amp at 24 volts, which would be like 360 at 12.
Great.
The forward cabins are more of a full in size. And you can see I'm violating the don't sit on rule. I might have
you get an exception.
I might have some license. But again, it's good visibility and all that, and it's not claustrophobic, and you're not relegated to the punishment cabin. This is still a decent cabin. It has actually as much storage as the aft. And underneath of me, on both the aft and forward cabins, we could put 3 golden retrievers in here. It's that big, so it's great for Tupperware. This particular side of the boat has the electronics. And up here we have an isolation transformer, so that converts 50 and 60 hertz to the other, so you can sail this boat in Europe. Okay. And then we have a inverter charger up there, that Quattro.
Right.
And you know, if you get the bigger inverter, then you can do more. And everything's well marked, and everything can be shut off. It's all American and Dutch and English systems on the boat. The whole boat is a real international boat. There's the entire world makes this boat.
That's great.
This boat, by the way, is it's CE rated. It also is ABYC compliant.
Just want to showcase that there's more storage on the wall. I was sort of blocking it with my body, but
yeah, I'll see if I can pop that.
The nice hanging locker.
Yeah. And again, it's all wood.
That looks really nice.
Yeah.
Usually, once you open a lot of boats inside, it's just a raw fiberglass or something. A lot of polish has gone on inside the cabinetry.
Well, speaking of that, if you look at anything on the boat, it's all finished. Even if you could take your camera and go up, which you won't be able to see because it's dark, it's all finished.
Really?
Yeah,
even the top, which you can't really see.
Yeah. This is I mean, sure, I'm on the boat and I'm selling it, but
right.
I chose this boat because it's for me to sell, because I've sold a lot of boats over the years.
Yeah.
This is probably one of the highest quality boats I've ever been on. It's extremely high quality and still a fast boat.
Yes. Okay, so this side is mirrored to the other side we just saw, but there's one difference, right?
Right, so the big difference here in this cabin, and I'll let you sneak around, is that in this boat, with the 4 cabin, we put the washer and dryer here.
Okay.
And if you get the 3 cabin, it actually goes forward near the shower and not in the sleeping cabin.
Yeah. Do you find you sell more of the owner's version with 3 cabin than you do 4? Or?
You know, in the 50s, they're all owner's cabins.
Yes.
In the 55s, all but 1 or 4 cabin. No, it's half and half. It's half and half.
Okay.
There is a TV that's in here that comes up, which can pull.
Okay.
And it faces the cockpit, faces the salon, and
it's on a pivot. Okay.
Yep. And it's 360. You reach the end, you have to go around the other way. But you could have a cooking show and have a 32-inch TV right in front of you, anywhere you want. So it works well. This boat has the overhead retracting.
It retracts?
Yep, it retracts and it opens up like you would in a car, just partially. There's a button here, and it's up to you if you want this or not. I guess we don't have it turned on, but it does have a screen, it does have a shade. It's what you've seen in a lot of other boats. For me, if I were buying the boat myself, I probably wouldn't get it because you don't need the light because there's so much light coming in here. So it just adds heat. So you're gonna have to
then you put the shades closed most of the time anyway, right? So.
Plus, you don't want to step through it when you're playing with your sail.
Yeah.
So
if you've opened it and forgotten.
Then I guess one thing we didn't touch on is just the engines. I'll open up this compartment here. This boat has Yanmar 57 horsepower, which is fine for this boat. It pushes along very fuel efficient at 9 knots, or if you want to do that. So what's different here? We build this little carbon fiber step that goes on top of the engine, and this has 12 volt AGM master volts because this is a 12 volt system on the engine, but we have a 24 volt and a 12 volt alternator.
Okay.
So it's all very clearly labeled. Everything is in nice, good shape. It has its own bilge pump. It's easy to get to the strainer, your dipstick. You can see your antifreeze. You can see your exhaust. in about 30 seconds, you can check everything you want to see in this engine room and the other one. And I should mention that the boat has several C-Fire systems on board for automatic fire extinguisher systems, and they're all controlled from inside too.
Great.
There's a door that goes here. So if you're in a rough condition or you have a dog, there goes a deck. If you have a dog on board or kids, or you just don't want to fall overboard at sea, you put in this panel here, but you still can get to your engine. So it's not like the engine's over there, it's here. And another point is this engine's not underneath the berth. It's outside the cabin, so you're not sleeping on top of the engine. Water capacity in a boat on a performance cat, we don't store a lot of water. We have two 240-liter tanks. The big thing on this is that we have your choice of either an 18 or 20-some-odd gallon Spectral water maker. And as you know with water makers, you want to run them all the time, so you want to get one that's not too huge, but you do want to run it for your use for showers and washing machines and dishwashers and stuff. So the 240 liters lasts for quite a while, but we're constantly refreshing it with the water maker. What's different with this boat versus the 50? This, just in price, because that's going to tell a lot of people right now, well, I love the boat, but it's a lot of money. Realistically, this is a $3 million boat delivered pretty much anywhere in the world with a lot of stuff on it. They start at 2.5, but as you know, you add things. So it's somewhere between 2.5 and 3. A 50 in carbon fiber starts at 1.7, and realistically is a $2 million boat delivered. And then you can get the e-glass version of the 50, which is very similar to a lot of the other boats that you two have done. And that is about a $1.4 million boat, and that puts it more in line with a lot of the other things you'll see at the show.
Very comparable to what the other 50s are.
So what's the difference, you think, in the side? What am I losing? Well, you have a similar setup with the cockpit with the 50s, the e-glass or the carbon fiber. We have the sliding doors here. This looks the same. You have a table, a settee, a day bed. You have all that. You might do an L-shaped galley. I have drawn it with an island, but the L shape makes a lot of sense. So this would actually connect, and the TV would be right here if you wish. It comes out to here. This is very similar. It's a little bit smaller. So for me to lie down on the 50, I would probably not be like this. I would be more like this.
Right. So it's just a little bit smaller dimension.
It is, but it still can be set up as a day bed. This is very similar, but what you're losing on a 50 is this is smaller, but we build this out to be able to take a fascia panel to put more instruments. So it actually gets bigger in some cases. This is basically the same as it is on a 50. It's a little bit shorter, and it has a bolster here for your arm. But you can still do the same woods inside, the same painting. The windows on the 50 actually are more of a, they're not as vertical looking as this. They're a little bit more slope forward, and there are opening ports that you can do in this boat too. And there's a bigger window here, and there's steps that go to the top. So we have currently, I think, 6 50s under construction right now, and the first one's going to be in Miami. And there are 4 of these out there, and we have several 66s, and we're building an 88, and we can build a 77.
Great. And then the 55, there's no e-glass version, there's only a carbon fiber version?
Currently, we have sort of a drawing of a 56 version of the e-glass, but we have not done,
you haven't commissioned.
Morelli hasn't really drawn that yet. We have engineering prototypes, so we might go in that direction. But right now, this 55 is in carbon fiber.
Okay. And all of them are daggerboard?
All the carbon fiber boats are daggerboard. The e-glass boats are performance keels, and what that means is that it's a very the nacre profile on it is very efficient. It's a little bit further forward than other keels, and they have winglets aft. So their VPPs that we have on the boats that we're doing in the 50s actually will still should smoke any of the regular production cats. It will.
So there's some variations that you can go for. That's great.
Right.
Okay. Well, thank you, Scott. It was a great tour.
Thanks for coming aboard.
I want to thank Scott for giving us this excellent guided tour, and he did all of that in one take. So clearly he knows this boat inside out and backwards. Now let's hear what Janice and I think of our full thoughts, pros and cons of this HH55. Hello.
Hi.
And welcome back to Cruising Off Duty. As you saw, we just saw the HH55. We're now home. We wanted to have time to really review the footage and give our pros and cons. We're going to do a male-female perspective because there's things that a woman likes that maybe a man doesn't even care about, and vice versa. So we're going to let the women start first. What did you think of the HH55? HH55.
Okay, there were many, many things to like.
She's got a big list.
It's beautiful. Yeah, I ran out of paper. I had to start writing really small. So it's beautiful, obviously. So the big back cockpit area with the dining table, the beautiful wood with the detail in it, and then you open the big glass doors, and with the interior space in the back combined, it becomes this huge, like, luxury condo size space. With all the furnishings being perfect looking. I love the galley, had 2 sinks. The nav station was beautiful in the wood, and I loved the shape of it. The furniture in the bedrooms was gorgeous, and the layout of the bedrooms, of the back cabin, big picture window.
Oh yeah,
like huge on the back, and then also big windows and portals on the big ports on the side. Accessibility around the bed. There were shelves and plugs for your phones, etc. Like on both sides of the bed.
Yeah, on both sides.
And it was huge. And on the side that had the 2 rooms, if it's a non-owner's side, it's got a Jack and Jill shower, so that means the rest of the head is much bigger, and that's a great idea. Why do you need a shower for?
You don't need 4 showers.
Human.
No.
So that gives you more area to get dressed and put together, etc. Oh, it has a washer and dryer, a nice looking washer and dryer. Though it's down in the cabin. But the one key negative that I saw was the lack of princess seats or seating of any kind. In the front. The trampoline was really nice and big, and I could lie on that and put some cushions there. But there was not even, a lifeline at the front to stand at the front.
Yeah.
Forget sit at the front.
So you have to sit on to be safe. You have to sit on the trampoline. There's no seating elsewhere. And when you're looking at the dolphins, you want a place to sit and look. Yeah, I get it.
I like hanging out at the front.
Okay, are you done with your pros and your cons?
Well, I guess I shouldn't go on and on and on.
Okay, so hers was more cosmetic about the rooms and the head, how big it is, and all that stuff.
Oh, sunroof. I like the sunroof.
You did.
I do like the sunroof.
He did have a good point about all the heat that would come in through that, though.
Well,
you might
keep
have
it shaded in the when it's super.
I'm sure that's an extra
hot
feature,
out.
so it's probably extra money.
Ooh, tall inside. Notice that man
6'2".
was several inches from the ceiling, but he was very tall.
He had lots of space.
So if he wasn't obvious,
It comes up in a lot of comments. People talk about headroom. What's the headroom? What's the headroom? Well, I'm 6 feet tall. He's 6'2", that guy who was talking about Scott. So he's even taller. And you can look, there's quite a bit of space between him and all the ceilings, whether in your bedroom or in the main salon. So definitely a headroom boat for tall people. No, I get people saying, I'm 6'4", I'm 6'5", am I going to be able to fit in this boat? This boat, you could. Yeah. So my pros and cons are more mechanical. What I liked is that, of course, the boat came lithium-ion batteries, and whatever boat we end up getting, if they don't come with lithium-ion batteries, we're going to scrap the old lead-acid batteries like almost right away and invest in good lithium-ion batteries and the proper charging system for those batteries, because they're not the standard charging. It's not the standard alternator and chargers that a lead-acid battery boat would need. So you got to upgrade all of that. So if it comes from the factory with lithium-ion, that's a big plus for me. I like the bow thruster idea. I mean, not that you necessarily have to have a bow thruster on a catamaran, because you have 2 engines and you can almost pivot on your own radius with a catamaran. But having a bow thruster, when you get close to the dock but then realize, geez, it's just a little bit too far to jump off for your wife if you're only 2 of you, and she wants to jump off to tie you up, and you're just a little bit too far away, you can just scoot yourself sideways with the bow thruster. So that's a nice feature. I like the protected helms. Now he showed us nice hard helm above you, but I'd seen photos. There's actually like a Lexan or a hard glass front window you can put in there too. So you are very protected, and he talked about it in the video that the whole thing is already set up to have surround glass and protection in it for cold or inclement weather kind of sailing conditions. That is always going to be there as well. So I liked that. I like the whole boat. I like the fact there is actually 2 helms. Usually I think that's kind of a waste, but this boat was so well appointed, both sides. It's not like one had all the instruments and the other side's just a wheel. Both sides were had the B&G screens and all the thrusters and all that stuff on both sides. And that'd be great if you're docking. Not that we plan to be in a marina all the time, but the occasional time we do go into a marina and you end up docking on your port side, and when you're used to docking on your starboard side, you can just move to the other wheel so that you can see the dock, see if you're getting close, and yada yada. So that's good too. Now, of course, with all of that comes price, and I think that's our one and only.
Can't afford that.
Yeah, our one and only, I guess, negative for us is we don't have those kind of deep pockets. Now, we kind of knew that when we got on this boat. We saw it at the dock, and it was just...
I could peek in and I could see the tables,
so nice.
and I was like, oh, so nice.
Yeah, so nice. We knew right away before the guy even mentioned the price.
I wanted a tour.
Yeah, we wanted a tour. And he said, can you give us a tour? He said, come back tomorrow morning before the show's up and we'll give you a tour. So we did that. But we knew before we even got off the boat, that before he mentioned the price, we knew it was out of our price range. But for those who do have deep pockets, this is an amazing boat because it's that perfect combination of performance and comfort, because it is a performance boat. I mean, all carbon fiber.
It's got the dagger boards.
Dagger boards, so it's going to track, go into the wind better than a normal catamaran. It's going to go like stank, like he admitted to. It's one of the faster boats. It'll, even when they don't have dagger boards, it's probably a fast boat, faster than almost all the production boats out there. So if you want performance, this could be a boat for you. And this is, in my opinion, and probably you agree, this beats the Uchamer 5X.
Yeah.
Hands down. That was the boat that's 58 feet long. We reviewed it last year and the year before. It's 58 feet long. This boat's only 55. But the Uchamer is very narrow, and there's almost no storage.
Cabinetry.
There's no cabinetry in the cabins. It's crazy. I'm like, where are you supposed to put your stuff? So this boat melds the performance side, being all carbon fiber and light and having a really big sail plan, and then it also has comfort.
Yeah.
So it's the best of both worlds. And beauty, yes.
Yeah, like the cabinets on the rounded corners.
Rounded corners, all wood,
not laminate, not IKEA looking.
And carbon fiber cores to things. And
So
everything.
the 50 is sounding good at 1.4. I'd love to see that in real life.
Supposedly at the Miami show.
Yeah.
So maybe a 50 e-glass, not carbon fiber, 1.4.
Like when you compare it to like a couple other boats that we really love, it's in the same ballpark.
And it probably is way more performance
at some point
than the ones we've compared.
Maybe
What's that?
if one was used for sale.
Oh, one of the e-glass 50s?
Like, yeah.
I mean, we could always hope, right? So we love this boat, out of our price range, but for any viewers who do have the deeper pockets, this is something you should seriously consider.
Yeah.
So that's it. So if you enjoyed this episode and found it informative, show the channel some love by giving it a thumbs up, and
Subscribe.
there you go. Hopefully you enjoyed it. Ciao for now.
Bye.
Bye.
We anchor and hoist the sail.
A special shout out to our patrons that show the channel some love with more than just thumbs up. We love you guys. If you want to know more about that, go to patreon.com/cruisingoffduty. And if you want to follow us in any of our social media, the easiest way is probably just to go to cruisingoffduty.com, and all the links are there. Oh, and if you're one of those people that already owns a catamaran and is sailing in some beautiful tropical location right now, just know that we are green with envy because Mother Nature decided to just skip fall, go right into winter. I'm already using my snowblower. We are very depressed. But we do wish you safe cruising, because one day we will be just like you, laughing at all those crazy Canadians. Ciao for now.